Hey everyone, I am Sarah Doody, a user experience designer and entrepreneur. These episodes are filled with honest answers and insights to your questions about business, technology, and design. Now, if you want to learn more about user experience, you can check out my weekly user experience newsletter called The UX Notebook. Just head on over to theuxnotebook.com and you can sign up right there. Now, today's question is from Nicole, and let me pull it up here. Okay, Nicole says, I'd love if you could talk about how to pick a good company when applying for full-time UX roles. I'm an experienced UXer, currently actively interviewing, and I'm having the very lucky problem of trying to figure out which of the many jobs I've interviewed for would be a good fit. It's so hard to know what a company is really like before you start. I'd love to read any suggestions you have for asking questions on interviews to determine this and what to listen for in their answers. So, excellent question. First of all, Nicole is super lucky to be in this situation where she has a lot of potential jobs that she could go to. So congrats, Nicole. Now, I have been in this problem before where you're out there interviewing and you have a couple of options and you're not sure which company you should go with. Because like Nicole said, how do you really know what the company's going to be like before you join? And what can you do to figure out if it's going to be a good fit for you? So looking back on my career, although I'm working for myself right now, I've always kind of been making this list, I guess, in the back of my head of what I would do if I were to ever pursue a full-time job again. So let me just run you through some of those things that kind of are on this list for me. So first of all, I think, what's the size of the company? That's important to me because that's really going to determine how much I get to put my skills to use and how much I get to kind of go a little bit beyond my skills as well. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you are joining a company that is quite small and you're going to be doing UX. Now, if that company is quite small and you're doing UX and you also find out that there's no other designers in that company, then that means that you might end up doing other design things as well because you will be seen as the only design resource. So maybe you'll end up making a sales presentation or making business cards or things like that. But the moment you're in a company where you're the only designer, just by nature of people knowing that you're a designer, they're going to think you can do other things. So if you're excited to do more design things than just UX and you have those skills, then go for it. But if you know that would drive you crazy, then don't go for one of those smaller companies. As well, I find that you're just going to probably need to do a lot more educating because if it's a small company that's just starting out, especially if those people have never been through the product development process before, you'll likely need to be doing a lot more education with the team members, letting them know what UX is all about because you're not going to have any other teammates, colleagues, or a manager to help educate and sometimes fight that UX battle or UX education battle with you. So when you're going for those smaller companies, just think about how much you want to focus on UX versus how much you're ready to go to bat for educating others on UX and potentially be designing stuff that's not just UX. So for me, I know that I like smaller companies because in larger companies, I find that I may get very pinned down to one product or one specific part of a product. So actually, this is a good example. Google had reached out to me a couple of times, but on this occasion, they were interviewing me. And finally, when it got to the offers, I said to them, what am I going to be doing? I understand that you want me to do UX, but UX for what? Google has so many products. I really wanted to know. So it took some forcing on my part to kind of figure out, what will I be doing or what team will I be on? And it ended up being for a team that had to do with kind of back end stuff regarding Google Ads and things like that. And I thought to myself, oh, I don't want to do that, because I thought if I have to design the back end of Google Ads, like I might go crazy, because for me, I've mostly designed consumer facing stuff, although I really do enjoy the business to consumer things. But just thinking about designing Google's back-end ad products, that was not super exciting to me as a 9 to 5 permanent thing. So you have to think about, what would you be doing on a daily basis, and what products would you be working on? And it's fine to ask those questions up front. I think it shows to the people that are interviewing you that you're conscious of your career and you want to make sure it's a good fit for you. So other things I would think about, how big is the team? Is it a UX team of 20? Is it a UX team of 2? Because that's going to determine how much you will have the opportunity to grow and learn from each other. So also just think about the size of the team, because that's going to determine, how much mentorship you're going to receive. And if that's something you need at that stage in your career, then be careful of going to a smaller company. Other things I would do, I would seriously do some stalking of the company, especially if it's a smaller company. So if it's a smaller company, I would just look at places like Crunchbase to see how much money they've raised. If it's a startup, you want to know how much money they have in the bank or runway. How long do they have until they run out of money? Those are all completely valid questions to be asking. You can also go to websites like Glassdoor to find out things like salary ranges or employee reviews. Those are great places to get an insight into what people think of the company and how people feel like they're treated there. Also, I would just Google the company and keywords, maybe job experience or my experience working at, things like that. But you'll probably find some articles that might have been written. If it's a really good company, they might be listed on, like a top 30 workplaces article or something like that. But do some research. Think of it as a UX research project and go do some research about the company. Finally, I would just check out the team culture. And this is where it's helpful to not just talk to people who are on the UX team, but talk to other people. I'm sure in your interview process, you'll be talking to people from other departments. So even though you might not have much in common with a developer or someone in HR or something like that, those are people that you could be asking kind of culture questions to, and ask them, why do you work here? What's something that attracted you to the company? Or what keeps you at this company? Or what's one thing that you wish the company did differently? Those are all completely valid questions. So I guess my best advice here is to do some research, treat it as a UX project, and think of, is this a right fit for me and what I need in my career right now? And then what's the health of the company? What's their financial stability? What stage are they at? And then the team, what's the culture like? Are these people that I would want to hang out with at happy hour or something like that? If it's not, you probably shouldn't work there. There's a great quote in a book I'm reading called Essentialism, and it says, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no. So if you are not 100% certain that this is a good fit for you, maybe don't do it, assuming you have options. Anyway, Nicole, hopefully that gives you some tips on what to do when you're deciding between all these job options. So if you are watching and you have a question for me, the best way to reach me is to click the link in the comments below. That'll take you to a Google form where you can ask me your question. You can also find a link over on my website, sarahdoody.com. Just click the contact link. But in the meantime, the UX tip of the day is to know yourself, know your company, and know the team, and know them in that order, because the most important thing is you. And if you know yourself well enough, then making the decision of what company you'll fit in at and which team culture is best for you will be really simple and obvious. But first, you have to know yourself and what matters to you and what your values are. So that's it for today. Hopefully you find this helpful, and if you have a question, just click the link in the comments below and hopefully we can get to you. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.